Welcome everyone to our youth live event on how to be an ocean climate advocate on the Virtual Ocean Pavilion key messages from the COP26. My name is Maëlle Montier and I'm one of the facilitators of the Youth4Ocean Forum, and I will be the moderator of this session. Before I introduce you to our brilliant panelists, here are a few words to explain what is the Youth4Ocean Forum. So the Youth4Ocean Forum is a free platform for young ocean changemakers between 16 to 30 years old. And we have a common goal, which is to shape our future with a healthy ocean that sustains us all. Therefore, the Youth4Ocean Forum provides the opportunities to speak up for our generation, share ideas, present projects, and connect with like-minded young people and experts all over Europe. Last but not least, the Youth4Ocean Forum offers a possibility to submit an ocean project and obtain accreditation of EU Young Ocean Advocates. You will hear today the testimony of young ocean advocates and also members of the Youth4Ocean Forum who participated to the COP26 in Glasgow during the past 2 weeks. They are from different backgrounds, different countries in Europe. They don't work in the same fields, but yet there is one thing they have in common. They share a passion for the ocean and therefore a strong commitment for the health of our planet. Today, they are with us because they have a lot to say about what just happened in Glasgow. It's urgent to do something about climate change. They have knowledge, they have passion, and they have the will to be the change makers of today. We asked all of our panelists 3 questions. What did you expect from COP26 of the UNFCCC? What is your experience of the COP26? Which were the events, statements, messages, people that drew your attention or left a lasting impression on you? And to finish, what will you do with the experience that you have gained from the COP26 events? So, I think we can start with our first panelist to answer these questions. And our first panelist is Kelsey Barnhill from All Atlantic Ocean Youth Ambassadors. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. With the launch of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development earlier this year, the ocean is in the spotlight now more than ever. However, its importance cannot be overstated. The ocean makes up 70% of our Earth. So if you care about the planet, you have to care about the ocean. We are all connected by the sea. It controls our climate and is the world's largest carbon sink, absorbing 40% of emissions from fossil fuels. Yet, the ocean is often missing from international and national climate targets. We must ensure the ocean is front and center in negotiations if we want a healthy ocean that provides ecosystem services and supports a high level of biodiversity. COP26 is considered by many to be a blue COP, where the ocean has a presence at the conference. We're here at the Virtual Ocean Pavilion, and inside the Glasgow Blue Zone, I attended marine-focused events across different pavilions. However, for me, the Blue Zone wasn't blue enough. For too long, we have focused on protecting terrestrial environments alone. I am hopeful that the 30 by 30 target will be achieved, where we will see 30% of the ocean protected by 2030. However, at one event, Peter Thompson, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for the Ocean, pointed out that we did not achieve the UN pledge of protecting 10% of the ocean by 2020. So I would have liked to have seen more discussion at COP26 surrounding how we can ensure 30 by 30 is achieved. We cannot expect the ocean to provide ecosystem services for us when we are unable to meet the promised protections. I would have also liked to have seen more conversations at COP26 surrounding financial commitments to fund ocean conservation and exploration. The deep sea is the world's most understudied ecosystem. How can we accurately provide protection to the ocean if we don't even know it is there? We need more commitment to basic deep sea exploration to fully understand our seas. And yet the deep sea wasn't mentioned inside the Blue Zone. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak today. Youth voices are in the spotlight at this COP. The youth-led protests outside of the Blue Zone show the next generation isn't afraid to speak up about important climate issues. However, inside the blue zone, these voices are often exclusively heard at events targeted towards youth. Youth needs to be included in every conversation because decisions being made at COPs will impact our lives for longer than the people who are doing the negotiating. I had a great experience at COP26. It was my first COP, and I got to listen to some diverse and inspiring speakers. But when I looked around in the audience at these events, it was made up of other scientists and representatives from NGOs. Out of all the events I attended, I only saw one party member present. Even inside the blue zone at COP26, our messages are not really being heard or considered, in my opinion. I think the decision makers and negotiators should attend these talks and events prior to drafting their decision text. It is great that there was a space for early career researchers at COP. I met youth ocean advocates from Brazil, Colombia, France, Spain, and Peru. I attended events with two of my fellow PhD students from University of Edinburgh. So we're there, our foot is in the door and youth is in the room. But now we just have to ensure that we're heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelsey, for starting this event. And now it's the turn to Arthur Friedrich to talk about his experience. Arthur, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Arthur. I'm a chemical engineering and founder of Oceano in Portugal, and I would like to thank you for this opportunity. I'm here to share with you my views about COP26. When I came to COP26, I came to learn how people would interact to achieve the goals that are clear to reduce CO2 emissions. And when I arrived, I realized that what moves us is our desire to make things better and change the world. I saw politicians wearing their suits. I saw also indigenous people wearing their cultural outfits. I saw people from the four corners of the world carrying their luggage and baggage to reunite here in COP26. I also saw protesters claiming that they are tired of blah, blah, blah. Everyone is here on its way to change something, to reduce emissions. But is CO2 causing global warming? We, as human beings, always like to blame something to get rid of our own responsibility. I think it's too naive to believe that CO2 is responsible for global warming. And I'm not a negationist. What's making global warming is our desire. The same desire that unites us here at COP26. Our notion of success must be decarbonized. Successful people consume a lot. Brand new cars, brand new home appliances, and brand new clothes that are not always necessary. How many of us, for example, bought something new just to be more respectable and beautiful here at COP26? Our desire that makes us to change the world is also to blame for the global warming. We can say we are tired about blah, 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 and blame politicians, the industry, and the entrepreneurs. But who financed them? The banks? No, it's ourselves, our desire to be successful, our desire for consumption. The lesson I took from COP26 is that we must decarbonize our notion of success. We need to make conservationism more sexy, more appealing to others. Emit less CO2 must be as desirable as studying the best universities or have a high salary paid job. We must search for new idols. We must admire who emit less. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur, for this inspiring words. And we're going to continue with Anna Marino from Youth and Environment Europe.
Hi, everyone. I'm really honored to be here today and to hear from the words of inspiring young people and to talk together about our hopes, our fears, and our experience of COP26. I was here at COP26 as a delegate of Youth and Environment Europe, which is the largest pan-European network of youth-led environmental NGOs. But I'm also a member of the Youth4Ocean Forum, and I had the pleasure of meeting other members at COP26. Before getting to Glasgow, it was difficult to shape my expectations of the outcomes for young people, especially because it was my first COP, and also because the global community and public opinion was expecting a lot from COP26. So it was expected to be one of the most important in history, one of the most important COPs. But even though as soon as we arrived as young people, some of the expectations were not met, especially because, as we all know right now, there were serious criticism and concerns about accessibility and accessibility issues and inclusion of young people, as well as frontline communities and civil society. I have to say at the same time that I'm really grateful for the great work of activists and especially for indigenous youth and indigenous communities to raise their voices and be there both inside and outside of the blue zone. And I think that without this great work from inspiring activists, we would never have included intersectionality and issues of climate justice, social justice into COP26 discussions and raised this kind of concerns into the public attention. So it was really important, both inside and outside of the blue zone, to engage in the discussions. Regarding my personal experience of ocean-related events, as my colleagues also said before, one of the main elements was at the core of ocean discussions in COP26 were the side events. And side events were basically guided by the scientific community, which for me as a political scientist was a very inspiring moment. And one of the most inspiring discussions for me was about bridging the gap between the policymaking level and the scientific research, because it was inspiring to hear what is needed for the research community and the science community to reach the policymakers and on the other way around. And yeah, one last word was I wanted to cite and to quote Dr. Sylvia Earle, who spoke at the Ministerial Ocean Action event, and say that human impact on oceans has been destructive, but humans are also agents of change, and we can turn this crisis around in a positive way to go from planetary decline to planetary recovery. And in order to have a positive impact, we have to radically transform the way in which we see oceans and our relationship with the oceans and the life inside of it. And I think in order to conclude, I think that it's really important and really powerful to continue with storytelling. Youth communities, frontline communities, gathering together and still inspiring each other with telling their stories and making sure that their voices are heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna, for your words. And we're going to go straight to the next panelist, Jesus Lucero from OSIN.
Hi, there is a protest going on behind me, so maybe there is a little bit of noise. Okay, but yeah, this is mainly the most exciting part that I have seen from COP26. You know, the people and the youth people and the indigenous people from all around the world coming together, talking to each other. And it's a very complex environment, and a lot has been going on, but it has been very exciting for me to be here. I have learned so much. I have been able to meet some of you, and which that was very cool to finally see each other's faces. And yeah, a lot of things have happened, a lot of people talking, And I feel that the youth, they talk about the youth and they put us in the text, but then they don't let us participate. I has been quite exclusive in that matter, the conference, but I have learned so much. I did attend on Sunday before coming to COP to a Ocean Day side event. It's called the Ferry, and there were some great scientists talking about their research and science. It was amazing. So yeah, I just feel very privileged to have been to Glasgow with the World Ocean Network. I think that we had made contact with many people from all around the world, from activists, scientists, some politicians too, and it has been a unique experience for me. Is there any question or something, or?
If you don't mind, we can do the questions at the end, so we make sure that every panelist has a time to share their voices as well.
Beautiful, thank you.
We're going to go to our next panelist, Alvine Datchoua-Tirvaudey, who's a Youth4Ocean Forum founding member.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to create this space for letting you speak. I am, as said, a founding member of the Youth4Ocean Forum, but also I was here at the COP in my capacity as a researcher, junior researcher, and a research associate and doctoral researcher at the University of Hamburg in the Cluster of Excellence CLICS Climate Change and Society, which is part of CEN. I wanted to share a few observations that I have been doing, because that was my role during this COP. And I think we share with the presentation that had been given earlier on this observation that civil society and the voices of the youth are more and more invited, and at the same time there is a process of less and less space where the voices can be expressed. I was privileged to have tickets to go to the green zone, which was not the case of everyone, because access was limited to 3 days due to COVID-19, and the tickets went away within a few days around the 12th of October. And in the green zone, we can see that basically the blue zone starting to expand and eat up some of the space in the green zone as well, because it's very much a business and technology fair, as can be the blue zone with the pavilions. It increased a lot, was not necessarily the case in past years, but in this COP, this was really the case, and it's very clear in the space. The biggest space on the ground floor is for the sponsors of the COP. So you have Microsoft, GSK, SEE, etc. And then behind you have a small space where you have 1 or 2 NGOs, 1 youth movement, and a few science institutions, and then other stands are around. And on the upper floors, it's pretty much business, technology, science, and innovation on the 2 floors. This is also a science center, so it's also meant to be like a museum. But yes, this was very striking, because then the sessions that are organized also in the blue zone and the pavilions are meant to include the voices, but it's not necessarily on people's terms. And so you have this kind of dichotomy that is here and is increasing. And to some extent, you could say that with the Paris Agreement, where all non-state actors and companies take the role more and more seriously, but the space for civil society has been eaten up, and then it has been put outside the COP with the People's Summit, other events happening outside. So it was complicated, I would say, for me at least, to be in this positionality of being a researcher and at the same time being ocean climate advocate or climate ocean advocate, because of this relationship, because of the space, and also because there was this big gap between what was happening, all the stories that we could hear and share, and the negotiations that was going on, the gap of level of expectations and actions. And as the space is very also overwhelming, it's of course difficult when one is in double positionality to take care of oneself. So I think it is an important message to keep in mind in terms of like how the COP is designed, and especially events when it comes to oceans, which have progressed. There's a lot more than than before. At the same time, there is still a lack of acknowledgement that the ocean is regulating our climate, and that this is an essence that needs to be put forward. So thank you again, and thank you so much. I am very also inspired by the experiences of people around me, and I can see that there have been diverse, and I'm glad it has been exciting. At the same time, it is important to look deeper, I think, at the politics of space that was behind this COP, and that could trigger definitely issues of access. Thank you very much, and I give the floor back to Maëlle.
Thank you, Alvine, for your insights on the green zone, which I think you were you were the only one in the panelist that we have today in the green zone also. So we're going to continue with Mariana Roudaut from 4P Shore and Seas to continue this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen quickly to play some slides. So yeah, thank you for joining us online today. So I'm Youth4Ocean advocate as part of the 4P Shore and Seas project. I have so much to say, but so little time, so I'll make it concise. So what did I expect from COP26? As many of my colleagues have said just before, it was my first COP26. It was my first COP, so I didn't have much expectations, but I have the chance to work for the Ocean Climate Platform, with whom we worked for the like months before the start of COP26, and so I was expecting the ocean to make a lot more noise, if I may say, in negotiations, but I do think it has finally found a little bit more space and place within the pavilions and within side events. It was genuinely a really rich experience for me as a young woman, and I had the chance, to better understand UNFCCC processes, which were part of my degree, and I finally got the chance to see it from the inside. But I did, like some of you have mentioned before, note some slight incoherences, notably due to the fact that civil society was not really invited inside negotiation rooms, and I thought that was the whole point of COPs. And then, in my own personal precept, of course, the fact that all COP sandwiches were sold in plastic bags, for me, it made no sense that we were still there at that point of time where we realized that climate change really, truly has horrific effects on the ocean. So on a brighter side, I had the chance to co-organize a few events with the Ocean Climate Platform. And especially one that I will remember will be the Ocean Action Day event, where not only I've met, high-level people, and it was really interesting to organize such an event, but I also kind of realized that all the work behind the scenes is so important to the well-functioning of such big events with 40 speakers. It takes a lot of work to actually make it work. So of course, I'm not going to be able to speak about everything that's on this slide, but I have been truly touched by Simon Coffey's speech with his feet in the water as we all know, sea level rise is a looming danger for a lot of people, but it is also an actual reality for many countries around the world today. So I thought that his message was really strong, as he has done it from home, and it resonated in COP26 corridors, and I admire that action a lot. And like other colleagues said just before, the energy outside COP was also outstanding. I felt very, very lucky to be able to witness COP from the inside, but I also have to, share my admiration to all the young people around the world that are, fighting every day, and not only last week, for climate justice and climate action. We need youth, and these voices, should count way more than they do today. So yeah, it was important to note that for me, as I witnessed, what happened outside COP on Friday and Saturday last week. So what will I do with that experience? I guess it only, reinforced my personal envy to pursue my career in ocean protection. It also, I have to say, I was kind of happy to see from my opinion, in the events that I attended, that the climate, biodiversity and ocean nexus had finally, been at the heart of many discussions, and it was about time that this would happen, because the links are so, so important. And yeah, so thank you so much for giving me that time. I wish I could say way more, but I don't have time. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for this inspiring words and giving us a glimpse of what happened outside and inside some of the zones in COP26 for those of us who weren't present on site. So thank you very much. We're going to continue with Jin Tanaka from Youth4Ocean. He's one of our Youth4Ocean Forum founding members. Jin Tanaka, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thanks so much. So I'm going to share status in my presentation. So thanks so much. Thanks for coming. So outside it's a little bit noisy. Sorry about that. Being in the blue zone at the Eden Project booth. So I'm going to present the movement of conservation for ocean in Japan. And I'm so glad to meet you here. And I'm going to start. So hello, my name is Jin Tanaka. I'm from Japan at Fukuoka, south part of Japan. And our country is surrounded to the oceans, and we have plenty the biodiversity and ocean resources. And also we get many ingredients, and the industries. Our industry is closely related to the oceans. And ocean around Japan are characterized by one of the richest areas for marine biodiversity. It is recognized as a UNESCO, UNICEF, WMO as well. And mixture of multiple ocean currents, industries, education, culture, history, everything is related. And as the area where the places overlap the most in my country, so we're going to get the many volcano eruptions in oceans, and we'll get the many cracks from the oceans. But there's a cause to the earthquake sometimes, but also that we could get to the plenty of the planktons as well. However, recently in my country, we are facing in danger of the ocean litters like this. I took these pictures and I'm going to show it. And these are just only the few examples. Many of the oceans and coasts we are facing in danger for the reaching out to the many ocean litters around the world. And our country also have to picking up to the many ocean litters, but how all the biodiversity get lost due to the ocean litters and pollutions. And so we do the cleanup ocean litters, and hundreds of tons of trash comes from the city, and we picking up to the 200 tons every year by the human picking up. And but even if we do so, we could not clean up all of the costs because of we got the many ocean litters from around the country, and we get to the 1,600 tons every year, like plastics, plastic bottles, some steels, and the fishing armies, and everything we gathered. So we try to do the mini movement, and we're going to invest more than $1 million for clean up oceans, but we could not get reach to any solutions. And also, we are also the second in dangers, the relation with climate and oceans. Likewise, here, the ocean also plays an important role in protecting us from the most serious effects of climate change. Likewise, here, we also talking about many climate change topics, but also the climate change affects the oceans for circulating to some ocean circulations. Likewise, in Japan, we had a full movement in oceans, and so we got plenty of the ocean fishes and ocean materials and ocean resources. But if we stop, that's a cause, and that's we're going to face some tragic situations. Likewise, the warning mountain of the ocean has not adapted since 1970, and our country ocean also absorbing more than 90% of the excess that are to the climate system, and our life forms are protected by ocean circulations. And if this ocean circulation stops, and we're going to face the $1 billion we're going to lose for the income, annual income for my country. And $1 billion, if he loses it, we could not survive we're going to lose any habitat. And even so, please look to the graph. If we try to stop to use the fossil fuels and not to damage to the climate change, but we still have some possibility for rising up to the 1.5 degrees was the climate change. We're going to see the ocean temperature going to be rise. So that's a damage for all of the nations. And so here, I'm going to show one of the examples. This is showing the graph of the number of the people per country living in the land expected to be under the sea level by 2100 here. Most of the country are going to be damaged. Our country also going to be damaged. More than 1 million persons going to have to move and remove from their home country and their habitat. Like as Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka going to be sunk. And also, more than 30% of my country going to be sunk until to the 2100. If we could not take the action for any of the climate change. And also, this one is I'm going to show that this one is the photo by by my country JAXA for the looking to the space, looking for the ocean temperature. Here, see, here is the red one is rising up to the more than 30 degrees in ocean temperatures at the surface. If we're going to see to the whole of the nations, maybe we're going to lose any of the biodiversities, and we're going to lose any of the fish industries, and we could not see the fish anymore. That's a problem. So we saw the many climate strikes as well, even in Japan, even in Europe, and even as here. However, we also need to take action for the oceans by picking up the ocean litters, cleaning up the pollution, and not to stop and try to remind as many people as we can to remind for the not to pollution anymore. So here's a movement in Japan. We do the START project for the Ocean Pavilion project in Japan. We do the picking up to the ocean meters, and we're going to make the pact for the Settled Ocean X. And also, we enforcing to the eco park and geopark for getting to protect the oceans and coast and ocean resources for the future. And also, recently we started to the ocean education as well. We are providing to the ocean leaders and experience as to connect to the fishermen. So I'm here to the project the ocean conservation for the climate change and expand the network to encourage to consider about the ocean. and make the relation with finance and energy and agriculture sector to emphasize the relation with oceans. Recently, as a youth for the conservation of ocean, for the oceans, we have the limit, but we could enforce and we could to make a collaboration with any other sectors. We are talking and we are getting the we are getting the movement. And I'm going to present last thing. So next youth forum, once in 4th year, we're going to have the Kumamoto in Japan for Asia Pacific Water Summit. And I'm here as an organizer of the youth forum of this conference. And I would like to invite all of the youth for not only the Asia Pacific, but also whole of the world youth. And I'm expecting that more than 5,000 youth will be active. And we will host the relation of climate change and ocean conservation. And this is going to be biggest youth forum ever. So we're going to conclude any of the ocean topics, and we're going to do the youth forum for the youth, with the youth. Then I will say, see you in Kumamoto next year's April in 2020 in Japan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jin Tanaka, for your links that you made with the COP26 and Japan and inviting us to join your youth event. That looks amazing. So we're going to continue with our next panelist. She couldn't be here today. Her name is Hannah Ladd-Jones. She's from England and she has a project called People, Ocean and Planet, but she sent us a video so she could share her her point of view with all of us today. Guillaume, could you share the video for Hannah? Thank you. I think we can't hear the sound. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, there's no sound.
Do you hear the sound now? Well, your mic is off.
Yeah, the sound is very weak. Did you share the sound of your computer when you said sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Just
weird.
let me try again.
Okay. Or I can try on my side if you want to.
I think it should work now.
Hi, I'm Hannah Ladd-Jones. I work for the organisation MASS, based at the University of St Andrews in Scotland, and I work for a project known as People, Ocean, Planet, and it's through this that I became a member of the Youth4Ocean Forum, and I'm really grateful to the World Ocean Network for giving me the opportunity to be an observer at COP26 for the first week. So what did I expect? Not a lot. I had no idea what COP26 was going to be like, what really the blue zone was going to look like. There were maps, there were lots of programs. It was an overwhelming amount of information, and I wasn't too sure what it was going to be like and what I was going to experience as an observer for the first week of COP26. So what was my experience? Well, one, I was really grateful to see such a huge meeting with many amazing scientists behind the works. I got to see so many famous scientists from climate to geography to social science, and also some other ministers and politicians or former politicians as well. And it was great to experience such an international call to save our planet. However, it was really hectic and it's left me with a lot of total mix of emotions, and I'm not sure really what I even got out of it. I heard large numbers being spoken about in funds, investments, commitments, partnerships being signed, and loads of different timelines on saving our planet. And most of the time, that was from people who are extremely wealthy as well. And with all those numbers and stats and partnerships, it didn't feel tangible to me, and it left me feeling very frustrated. It just felt like a very big science conference. And I saw a few of the same talks in a few different sessions. And there were so many calls to actions, but the audience already know this. We were pretty much talking to ourselves. And actually, the people who I saw the most passion from were from younger speakers or early career researchers, and actually the former Vice President Al Gore. They were people who were showing me genuine frustration and anger at the situation our planet's in. And lots of people were optimistic, you know, they were talking about timelines and how things could be achieved, but I found it difficult to comprehend how we can save our one planet when there was a lot of guilt and responsibility pushed onto the average day person, which is something I wasn't expecting, actually. And on Friday last week, I saw actually the head of the Bezos Earth Fund. And this is basically a massive fund that's going to invest in saving the planet. But it's a fund that's been created and is possible because of capitalism and because Jeff Bezos got shot up into space. So that just kind of just didn't make any sense to me at all. And not to be too, you know, doom and gloom, but I was getting more and more frustrated throughout this meeting because we were all just talking to each other. It was scientists talking to other scientists. I didn't actually see a single debate. I didn't see any negotiations. Everyone was agreeing with everyone that we had the science, we needed to invest here, we needed to do that. There was no debate anywhere from what I saw in the meetings that I had access to. And we were just saying the same stats, showing the same figures to people who already knew this. And barely anyone mentioned the terms ocean literacy or public engagement, and actually how we were going to get the public engaged in climate science and wanting to be more interested and invested in saving our planet. A part of me actually wishes I'd gone to some more public events, so less blue zone and more green zone where the public could go. And I actually didn't participate in any of the protests on Saturday. And I regret that. I wish I had. I think I would have felt a lot more connection with some of the voices that were being spoken on those protests. It was a really eye-opening experience, and I'm really pleased I went. It was nothing what I thought it was going to be, and I got to see so much science, and it taught me a lot as well. But what it wasn't what I was expecting at all. So what am I going to do because I've been to COP? Well, first things first, I'm definitely going to follow up some of the networking and the connections I made. I got to meet loads of really cool people and exchange information with them, particularly around science communication and education. And that's something I'm definitely going to follow up on. I want to learn more about topics such as gender justice and climate change. And again, more projects about just engaging people with the ocean. And I guess I'm just going to continue talking about what my experience was of COP and what I took out of it. It was a really interesting experience, and I'm grateful to have gone. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Hannah's speech on COP26, and we're going to continue with Olivia Garcia, one of our dear founding member in the Youth4Ocean Forum, and also founder of the project Sailing for Ocean Literacy and Engagement. Olivia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will try to be as brief as possible. I'm really happy that I went right after Hannah's video because actually what I'm gonna say looks a lot like what she just said. Even though overall I think I had really high expectations, knowing that this COP was for like the most expected COP ever, and that they had an extra year to organize it due to the pandemic and so many things related to climate actually happened during this year. So yeah, my expectations quite high. So yeah, once again, my name is Olivia. I'm French Virtual Ocean founding members, and today I'm going to speak very briefly about our experience at COP as youth representatives, youth delegates. I spent the last couple of days talking with as many young people as I could at COP and trying to get their feeling, what they felt, how they felt about this COP. And I think that the adjective that I most heard was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. It's a huge event. There's so many things going on at the same time. It's literally impossible to attend everything that you want to attend. Also, personal point of view, I think it was quite complicated to connect with other people from the marine field, as there were no ocean pavilion. There was no ocean physical space dedicated. And I found that extremely disappointing. When you know that the climate is the primary, the ocean is the primary climate regulator on Earth. So yeah, kind of disappointed about that. Also very disappointed about the fact that we don't have access to negotiations. Negotiations happen behind locked doors. So I just basically felt that I was at this huge environmental congress, but nothing more. Yeah, and about the COP26 outcomes themselves, it's a little bit unclear. We haven't heard many statements about what happened, about the outcomes of negotiation. I was kind of expecting, I don't know, after every day, a kind of a recap on what happened, the highlights of the days. I didn't see that. I haven't seen. I think that the ocean and also the youth was kind of underrepresented. No ocean pavilion, no youth pavilion. And also, for example, about the ocean specifically, the only real statement that I heard was a statement from the high-level Sustainable Ocean Panel that is composed of the President of the US, Australia, Canada, Chile, Indonesia, Mexico, Portugal, and many more other countries, that just basically said that they recognize the fact that the ocean is a key climate regulator and that they urge ocean actors to join in accelerating key ocean-based climate actions such as nature-based solutions, etc., which is for me a lot of words and nothing concrete because we already know that. So yeah, really happy to be here overall and to have met such great people and had the opportunity to meet other members of the Youth4Ocean, but overall kind of disappointed, and I really hope that action is going to be taken. And yeah, to conclude what I'm going to do with my experience at COP, I think this COP got me more interested in the idea of climate justice, because I could meet people from Tuvalu, which is islands I never heard about before, and I discovered all of the incredible challenges they're facing due to climate change. They already lost some islands. They had some islands now at high tide are completely submerged. They're really facing climate change right now, and I think we don't talk about that enough. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for giving me the floor.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you for your words and the words of the people that you interviewed at the COP26. We're gonna go to our next panelist, Revecca Daniel from the Marine Diaries, who's gonna share with us her point of view also on the COP26. Revecca, whenever you want.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Revecca Daniel. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in the pavilions right now. So like many others in the Youth4Ocean Forum, this is my first COP. And I'm here actually working with my full-time job, Carbon Brief, which is a climate journalism nonprofit, but also kind of representing my nonprofit, Marine Diaries. There's a couple of things I want to mention about my overall feeling of COP. Generally, I think there is just a lack of ocean on the agenda. All of the events that I went to that were discussing the ocean in some form were typically kind of side events or external events even, not even inside the COP venue, which is really quite disappointing. And these were actually really great discussions, all of the ones I managed to go to, and everyone is kind of really aware of the fact that ocean action can be seen as climate action. But I don't think that that's really being discussed on a political level. You know, I heard talks from people talking about fisheries management as climate action, protecting coastal ecosystems like mangrove, seagrass and salt marshes, which we all know are really fantastic at storing carbon in their sediments, and just generally protecting marine life. You know, things like whales, for example, all of these things affect the biological carbon pump, but it's very hard to know what's actually being discussed in the negotiations. I have a press pass, so I wouldn't even be able to go in as an observer. And it sounds, from the sounds of things, it sounds like, you know, even you guys were not able to go in. So we've seen some commitments being made by governments about the ocean, but it's very difficult to know what's going on in those rooms. In terms of the actual draft text, you know, which is what will be used to kind of hold countries accountable, and until the next COP, I've just had a look at it, and I can only see about 5 mentions of ocean in the draft text. There's no official mention of blue carbon at all, which is really, really disappointing. And I think just today it was announced that nature-based solutions have now been removed from the draft text. They were previously in there and now they're not, which again obviously kind of links to ocean-based solutions as well, because those are included in that. So generally I think there is a lot of awareness of ocean action being kind of climate action, especially by all of the kind of supporting organizations, people who are attending, but it's just not on the political agenda. As well, I think there's just a lack of ambition from governments. The pledges that have been made about tackling emissions are not enough to keep us within 1.5 degrees of warming. Some recent analysis by my company Carbon Brief shows that at the very, very best, if all countries meet their long-term net zero promises, we're going to have 1.8 degrees Celsius of warming by 2100, which we all know is not what we're trying to aim for. And generally, I think there is a lack of diversity, both kind of gender as well as ethnicities, and even just walking around the blue zone, there's a lot of men, and there's definitely significantly less women. And again, if you look at the actual registered delegates, which are available online, this year there's about 65% male and 35% female. And yes, we had a gender day, which is fantastic, but we really need gender and all of these different voices to be fully integrated. We don't need a day, we need to be heard in all of the discussions across all of the days. And even though the UK is actually one of only 8 delegations to have a 50-50 gender balance, there's only 2 people in the COP26 UK leadership team that are women, and that's out of 12. So 2 out of 12 is not a very good gender split. So I think personally, we need a lot more kind of research and funding, and especially political attention on blue carbon. We need all of our governments to consider ocean action as climate action. And I think we need the voices of women and marginalized and indigenous groups to be fully integrated across COP.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. And thank you all of our panelists for your strong words and your powerful words about your experience on the COP26 and reminding us that it's great. The ocean is now at the COP26 and is being talked about for its role on the climate, but there's a lot of things to do in order to get even better for next year. So thank you for all of your reaction remarks. This has been a pleasure to have been here with you today. I just want to conclude in a few words, and for that I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Well, it's not really working, but you can say that we won't have time to do a discussion right now. That's a dialogue that you can continue on the chat. Here we go. On the chat, the Youth4Ocean chat room. And there is 3 questions that we addressed on this chat room. The first one was, what are ways by which you can help raise and achieve ambition to protect the ocean, the cryosphere, and their ecosystems? The second one was, how would you encourage your leaders to do more to combat climate change? And the third one, how can you help your country's negotiators contribute to the forging of an agreement that will clarify and strengthen the 2015 Paris Agreement climate pledges by including, among others, ocean-related adaptation and mitigation action? If you want to access the Youth4Ocean Forum chat room and answer those questions with other people from the Ocean Virtual Pavilion, you have the code right underneath the 3 questions. And to finish, I'd like to show you a video that we made not too long ago on for the Youth4Ocean Forum. So we are looking for young ocean advocates, as I said in the very beginning of this conference. Every 3 months, we launch a new call to find young people between 16 and 30 years old who has a project for the ocean that they are developing or they want to develop. So if you know someone who has a project for the ocean, or if you yourself have a project for the ocean, we are looking for people to join our community at the Youth4Ocean Forum. Thank you for being here with us today. It was a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I wish you all the best for the rest of the year, and see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.